Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Art of Creation Homestead. My name is Jason, and as a gardener and a chicken keeper, there's certain things that would just every single gardener and chicken keeper, especially chicken keeper, wants to do, which is save money on feed. Don't waste food. You don't want to waste anything. Like I've got all these leaves here, this Swiss chard that's been ate on, and so I'm going to give these to my chickens, right? Because they really enjoy Swiss chard. And I don't want to waste these beautiful Swiss chard, so my chickens can have it, right? All right, kids, here you go. Have some Swiss chard. And they really enjoy it, as you can tell. And it's really good for them. It's going to help them produce good eggs, just good for them overall. And we're not wasting anything that way. And we've done a video talking about all the things that you can feed your chickens and that you should feed your chickens out of your garden. But what about things you shouldn't feed them? One really important thing that I'm going to mention first that I've seen several people talk about feeding. One in particular, a major YouTuber, has fed their chickens this. It's tomato leaves. Please don't do that. See, there's all kinds of things that we're going to go through here that are very toxic to your chickens, and it's harmful to them that you may not necessarily realize is that way. You just think, hey, I'm trimming my tomatoes. I've got this green tomato fell off and got a worm in it, or whatever. Something happened to this tomato plant, to this pepper plant, to whatever, and I don't want to waste it. My chickens can benefit from it. Not necessarily. You don't want to waste any garden stuff. It's food. It's free food for your animals, correct? But at the same time, there's certain things that isn't free food. It's free toxicity. And nobody wants to feed their animals anything toxic. And these things that are toxic to your chickens are probably also toxic to your cattle, maybe to your dogs or your cats. So you don't want to feed any of your animals. Make sure they don't eat things that are toxic. Now, I will preface this by saying most of the time your animals know. Like chickens are going to know that a certain thing is toxic to them and they shouldn't eat it. But you're going to have some animals that may not have the best instinct, maybe not the best taste, and they're going to indulge in something that's harmful for them. We know we had one chicken do so. We're going to cover that later, and it killed her. Now, since I've already mentioned the tomato leaves, we're going to kind of go through that right now. Nightshade in general. Tomatoes are part of the nightshade family. That's also going to include like peppers. So it's peppers, tomatoes, potato plants, and eggplant. Those are all four members of the nightshade family, and so therefore should be treated very carefully. So those things like tomatoes, it's the green parts, okay? With all of them, it's the green parts or the peels of the potatoes. So the stems, a green tomato, the stem of an eggplant, any of the green plant, any of this sort of stuff. Same with the peppers, a green pepper, or the pepper plant itself, the potato plant itself, and the potato peels. Those all contain solanine. I think so. It's called solanine. Solanine. It is very toxic to your system. Humans shouldn't eat them. Animals shouldn't eat them. It can cause very bad issues inside of you. Okay, and it can kill you if you eat too much of them. It can kill you. So those are all things that are toxic. Those are all things that are toxic out of that. Now, tomatoes also contain something called tomatine, and that's very toxic as well. But it's all part of the same deal. The fruit itself is okay, like a ripe fruit, right? A really ripe pepper is okay. So like a red, orange, yellow pepper is okay to eat. The eggplant itself is okay to eat. The eggplant fruit. A ripe tomato is okay for them to eat. Just not the green parts of the plant. It's very harmful to your chickens, so please don't give it to them. Another thing that's also in that category would be rhubarb. Rhubarb has got oxalic acid, very bad for them. The rhubarb itself may be okay. The leaves are very toxic, so it's probably something you should just avoid altogether, just because it's no real benefit to giving your chickens rhubarb. Another one maybe kind of not popular would be onions and garlic. See this beautiful onion here, really nice onion, nice green. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to give your chickens that? No waste, right? It's real food. It's good for them. Not necessarily. Onions and garlic have a high sulfur content, and it's just not good for them. And now I know people are going to say, well, I put garlic powder in whatever. Yeah, garlic powder is different. Garlic powder is not raw garlic. right? It's been cooked and broke down and dried and everything else, and it's a very low amount. Also, one thing is, you don't want your eggs tasting like that. If they eat too much onions and garlic, you're gonna, even if they survive, they're gonna have eggs that taste like onions and garlic. And while somebody might think, hey, it's not a bad idea, I don't look forward to a runny yolk egg in the morning that also tastes like onions and garlic. That's just not a great breakfast for me. But it's also just not good for your chicken's body. Another thing you may not really think about is a raw green bean, okay? A raw green bean you might not necessarily think of being a bad. It's like, hey, it's just a raw bean. What's the big deal? It contains lectin, okay? Lectin is actually something that's been kind of in talking some fad diet things where people are saying avoid all lectins no matter what. It cooks out. It cooks out when you cook a green bean, but raw, it's high in lectin, and it's like it's a compound that attaches. It's a protein compound that attaches to sugars and causes sugars to do something strange in your body. I think is what it is. But like, it's also bad for your chickens. Okay, do not feed raw green beans to your chickens. For those of you with citrus plants, you know, if you're in the far south, or maybe you got a greenhouse or something, and you got some like lemons or oranges, or if you just got them out of the grocery store, don't feed your chickens lemons and oranges. Too much acid, way too much acid. This is not good for them at all. There's no point in feeding them the peels and the fruit from it. There's no benefit to it. Only harm can be done, and chances are they're not going to touch it anyways. And on that note too, like from fruit, most of the fruit's good for is good for chickens, like apples and pears and peaches. All those things, they'll eat them, right? But they don't need the seeds. Like cherries, like that, they don't need the seeds. All those things, they don't need the pits or the large pits in the seeds. Not just because of the size of them, but because they contain arsenic. Like if you give apple cores to your chickens, it's okay, you just gotta get the seeds out. You know, we'll chop up an apple and give it to the chickens. They love it, but they don't need the seeds. Seeds contain arsenic, and that can be harmful if you're not aware of that. The last one is on more of a bonus round. It's not food from your garden necessarily, but it is a weed that's commonly found in gardens around the edges of the property. We actually have a decent amount of it growing around here, and it's called creeping Charlie. We have this old bed here that's just been overtaken by it. It's in the mint family, and it's like vines across the ground, and it kind of smells bad to me. But it's very toxic, and that's where the story comes in. We had a chicken that was young, a very good egg producing chicken, and a good chicken in general. We loved her to death. But we let them out in the yard, kind of run around free range. We were out here with them, but we couldn't keep an eye on what they're eating at all times. Well, she was over there in that section right there, especially quite often, and we'd never had a chicken eat creeping Charlie before. But she'd take the same round every day, which a lot of chickens do if you're not aware of that. So she'd take the same rounds every day, and she'd go over there, scratch around and eat. Well, apparently she was eating creeping Charlie. We actually, before she died, the last handful of eggs she had laid actually smelled like creeping Charlie, and they had a little funny taste to them. It's where she had been overloading on that, and she'd ate so much of it, the toxicity built up in her, and it killed her pretty quickly, actually. You know, kind of out of nowhere, she just went downhill pretty quick and was gone. So it's got some kind of weird oil. I forgot how you pronounce it even, but the oil in it's no good. Is can be used for other things, I guess, but. And some people can use it for herbal teas or whatever. It's not beneficial at all, and it is toxic to your chickens. And even if they don't die from it, your eggs are gonna be nasty. Just be honest with you, not good at all. Now on the other hand, while potato plants are not good for your chickens, the sweet potato vines, they'll love them. This stuff right here is very edible, okay? That's very edible for your chickens. They will enjoy that. So be aware that not everything's bad, okay? We don't want to tell you everything's bad, don't feed them nothing. It's just that be careful on what you do feed them. And if you have questions on it, ask somebody, Google it, whatever. Make sure that you're not giving your chickens something that's going to harm them, okay? Because if it's free food, but it kills them, didn't really do you no good, did it? So thank you guys so much for watching. We do appreciate it. My name is Jason. This is Art of Creation Homestead. We love y'all. God bless you and goodbye.